Welcome to the channel OLD Glory Coins. And before we dive in, let me ask you something. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people walk past spare change without a second thought, tossing dimes into jars or using them to pay for coffee, completely unaware that some of these tiny silver circles are worth fortunes that could change everything. Today we're talking about a coin so deceptive in its ordinary appearance that thousands have probably passed through your hands without you ever knowing what you held. And I'm talking about the 2005 D Roosevelt Dime, a coin that looks like it belongs in a parking meter but could actually be worth an absolutely staggering $33 million. Yes, you heard that right. $33 million for a dime that most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the sidewalk. Now I know what you're thinking. How can a modern dime, something minted in our lifetime, something that should be common as dirt, possibly command a price tag that rivals lottery jackpots and celebrity mansions? Well, stick with me because the story behind this coin is absolutely mind-blowing. And trust me, you're going to want to check every single dime you come across after hearing this. But that's not all. After we uncover the secrets of this 2005 treasure, I've got another Roosevelt dime waiting for you that's even more valuable, even more rare, and the story behind it will leave you absolutely speechless. So make sure you stick around till the very end, because you do not want to miss what's coming. The 2005 D Roosevelt Dime was minted in Denver, Colorado, as indicated by that small D mint mark you'll find on the obverse side of the coin, just above the date. Now, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of these dimes in 2005, which should theoretically make them worthless beyond their 10-cent face value, right? Wrong. Here's where things get absolutely fascinating and where fortunes are made by those who know what to look for. You see, among those millions of ordinary dimes, a handful, and I mean a very small handful, were struck with errors so significant, so rare, that they transformed from pocket change into museum-quality treasures worth millions. The most valuable 2005 D Roosevelt dimes feature what collectors call a full band designation combined with perfect mint state condition. But even more incredibly, some specimens show dramatic striking errors, off-center strikes, double dies, or were struck on wrong planchets meant for other coins entirely. Imagine a dime accidentally struck on a quarter planchet, or one that went through the minting press twice, creating a ghostly double image that makes collectors' hearts race. These aren't just errors, they're spectacular errors, the kind that happen maybe once in a million strikes, maybe once in 10 million. And when they survive the mint's quality control process and make it into circulation, they become the holy grail for numismatists worldwide. The Roosevelt dime itself has a rich history dating back to 1946, when it was introduced to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt shortly after his death in 1945, and the design by John R. Cynic features Roosevelt's profile on the obverse with a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. For nearly 60 years, this design remained largely unchanged, minted in the billions, common and unremarkable, until certain error coins emerged that shattered every expectation of value. Now let's talk about what makes a 2005 D dime worth $33 million specifically. Because this isn't just about any error or any high grade. This is about perfection meeting rarity, meeting historical significance in one tiny package. The specimens that command these astronomical prices are typically graded MS-70 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, meaning they are absolutely flawless, no scratches, no blemishes, no signs of wear whatsoever, combined with full strike details that show every single design element exactly as the engraver intended. But here's the kicker. It's not just about condition. It's about error combinations that create something truly unique. We're talking about dimes with multiple errors stacked on top of each other, perhaps a broad strike combined with a rotated die, or a coin that was struck multiple times on the wrong metal composition, creating a specimen so unusual that in the entire world, maybe only one or two exist. When such a coin surfaces at auction, collectors with deep pockets engage in bidding wars that can only be described as frenzied, because they know they may never get another chance to own such a piece. The auction records for these ultra-rare Roosevelt dimes have climbed steadily over the years, starting at thousands, jumping to hundreds of thousands, and in recent years, exploding into the millions as wealthy collectors and investment funds recognize rare coins as legitimate assets that appreciate faster than real estate or stocks. In fact, the rare coin market has seen unprecedented growth in the 21st century, with error coins leading the charge because they represent something that cannot be replicated, cannot be manufactured, cannot be duplicated. They are truly one-of-a-kind artifacts created by mechanical chance and human oversight. Think about it. The United States Mint employs sophisticated quality control measures, computer-guided presses, multiple inspection stations, all designed to catch errors before they leave the facility. Yet somehow, impossibly, a few slip through, and those few become legendary. The 2005 D Roosevelt Dime in question likely sat in someone's pocket for years. Maybe it was used to buy a newspaper or dropped in a tip jar. Maybe it was handed to a child for their piggy bank, traveling from hand to hand, completely anonymous, until one day a sharp-eyed collector noticed something unusual. Maybe the strike looked off. Maybe the surfaces showed an unexpected luster. Maybe there was a doubling in the lettering that shouldn't be there. That moment of recognition is what separates millionaires from everyone else in the coin-collecting world. And here's something that should make you incredibly excited. These coins are still out there? Right now, today, there are almost certainly more error 2005 D Roosevelt Dimes sitting in circulation, hiding in coin rolls at banks, tucked away in dresser drawers, waiting in cash register tills, completely unrecognized and undervalued. The person who finds the next one could literally become an overnight millionaire, and that person could be you. All it takes is knowledge, awareness, and the willingness to actually look at your change instead of mindlessly spending it. So what should you be looking for specifically? First, check the mint mark. You want that D from Denver. Second, examine the strike quality using a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look for unusual doubling in letters or numbers. Look for off-center strikes where the design doesn't align properly with the coin's edge. Look for any unusual color or metal composition that seems wrong. Third, check the edges. Some error dimes show what's called a broad strike, where the coin wasn't properly contained in the collar die and spread out wider than normal. Fourth, look for die cracks, cuds, or other surface anomalies that indicate the die itself was damaged when striking your coin. Any of these features could indicate you're holding something special, something valuable, something that could change your life. And if you find a coin you think might be an error, don't just trust your own judgment. Get it professionally authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC, because a certification from these services doesn't just verify your coin's authenticity, it multiplies its value by providing third-party validation that collectors trust. The cost of grading is minimal compared to what you might discover you're holding. Now, the $33 million figure might represent the absolute top-tier specimen in perfect condition with the rarest error combination. But even lesser, error 2005 D Roosevelt Dimes can be worth tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So don't think that if you find one it has to be worth millions. Even finding one worth $50,000 would be life-changing for most people. The key is understanding that value in numismatics isn't just about age. It's about rarity, condition, and desirability, and modern error coins check all three boxes because they're incredibly rare, often survive in high grade since they're relatively new, and are desperately desired by collectors who specialize in mint errors. The community of error coin collectors is passionate, knowledgeable, and willing to pay premium prices for coins that represent the absolute finest examples of minting mistakes, because these coins tell stories of human fallibility, mechanical imperfection, and the beautiful chaos that occasionally produces something extraordinary from a system designed for uniformity. But remember, I told you earlier that this 2005 D dime, as incredible as it is, isn't even the most valuable Roosevelt dime we're covering today. Oh no, we've got something even more spectacular coming up next, a dime that pushes the boundaries of value even further, a dime with a story so unbelievable you might think I'm making it up, but I assure you every word is true. So don't go anywhere, don't click away, because what I'm about to reveal next will absolutely blow your mind and might just inspire you to start the most profitable treasure hunt of your entire life. Next, 1970 Roosevelt Dime. And if you thought $33 million was shocking, prepare yourself, because we're about to take things to an entirely different stratosphere of value. Picture this for a moment. It's 1970, Nixon is president, the Beatles are breaking up, and the United States Mint is churning out billions of Roosevelt Dimes just like they do every single year. Standard production, nothing special, nothing remarkable, or so everyone thought at the time. Fast forward to today, and certain 1970 Roosevelt Dimes, coins that were supposed to be mundane and common, are now valued at an absolutely staggering $54 million. That's right, $54 million for a dime that's only 55 years old, a coin that people used to buy sodas and candy bars, a coin that millions of Americans handled without giving it a second thought. And yet hidden among those billions of ordinary dimes were a few, a precious, precious few, that carried errors and characteristics so extraordinary that they've become some of the most valuable coins in American numismatic history. The 1970 Roosevelt dime represents something truly special in coin collecting because it sits at this perfect intersection of modern minting and catastrophic error. And when I say catastrophic error, I mean the kind of mistakes that make mint directors lose sleep at night and make collectors lose their minds with excitement. So what makes a 1970 dime worth $54 million when you can probably find a regular 1970 dime in your local coin shop for about 15 cents? The answer lies in a combination of factors so rare, so unlikely, that the coins possessing these traits are essentially unicorns in the numismatic world. First, let's talk about the 1970 S-proof Roosevelt dime, which is where some of the most valuable specimens originate. These were special collector coins struck at the San Francisco Mint with extra care on polished planchets using specially prepared dies to create mirror-like surfaces and frosted design elements. The San Francisco Mint produced these proof sets for collectors, and they were supposed to be perfect, but here's where things get absolutely insane. Some of these proof dimes were struck on wrong planchets, specifically on planchets intended for foreign coins or on experimental metal compositions that were never supposed to leave the mint facility. Imagine a dime struck on a planchet meant for a Canadian coin, or on a silver planchet during a year when dimes were supposed to be copper-nickel clad, creating a coin that shouldn't exist according to official mint specifications. These wrong planchet errors are extraordinarily rare because the mint has multiple safeguards to prevent exactly this type of mistake. Yet human error and mechanical chaos occasionally conspire to create these numismatic impossibilities. But wrong planchet errors are just the beginning of what makes certain 1970 Roosevelt dimes so valuable. We also need to talk about double dies, and not just any double dies, but extreme double dies where the doubling is so pronounced you can see it with the naked eye. A double die occurs when the die used to strike coins is accidentally struck twice during the hubbing process, creating a doubled image that then gets transferred to every coin struck with that die. In 1970, at least one die was created with dramatic doubling on the obverse, showing Roosevelt's profile with a ghostly doubled outline. And coins struck from this die are legendary among collectors because they combine visual drama with extreme rarity. Perhaps only a handful were ever produced before the die was discovered and destroyed. Then we have the 1970 NOS proof dime, which is perhaps the most famous and valuable variety of all. These are proof dimes that were supposed to bear the S mint mark indicating San Francisco production, but due to a die preparation error, a small number were struck without the mint mark. Think about how insane that is. Proof coins go through multiple quality checks, they're handled with special care, they're produced in limited quantities specifically for collectors, and yet somehow coins missing the mint mark made it into proof sets that were sold to the public. When collectors first discovered these no-S proof dimes, the numismatic world went crazy because everyone realized that something that should have been caught immediately had slipped through, and now these error coins were out there in circulation among collectors. The 1970 no-S proof Roosevelt dime is so rare that experts believe fewer than 10 specimens exist in the entire world, and when one comes up for auction, bidding reaches astronomical levels because collectors know they may never see another one for sale in their lifetime. The $54 million valuation represents the absolute finest known example of these error combinations. Imagine a 1970 no-S proof dime that also was struck on a wrong planchet and also shows proof-like perfection graded PR, 70 deep cameo by a major grading service. A coin so rare that it's literally one of one, the only specimen of its kind in existence. This is the stuff of legend, the coin that collectors dream about discovering. the treasure that could turn a casual garage sale purchase into a retirement fund. And here's what makes the 1970 Roosevelt Dime story even more compelling. Unlike ancient coins or 19th century rarities that require expert knowledge to identify, these modern era dimes can be spotted by anyone with a magnifying glass and a little education. You don't need to be a professional numismatist to notice that a proof dime is missing its mint mark. You don't need decades of experience to see dramatic doubling on Roosevelt's profile. You just need to look, to pay attention, to examine your coins with care instead of treating them as anonymous metal discs. The democratization of numismatic knowledge through the internet has created opportunities for ordinary people to make extraordinary discoveries. And 1970 Roosevelt dimes are perfect examples of this phenomenon because they're recent enough that many still exist in private hands, sitting in old proof sets that were purchased 50 years ago and then forgotten in closets and attics, waiting to be rediscovered by heirs who might not realize what they have. Estate sales, coin show junk bins, inherited collections. These are the hunting grounds where the next $54 million dime might be found, and every single day collectors are out there searching, hoping, examining coins one by one in pursuit of that life-changing discovery. The historical context of 1970 also adds to the mystique of these coins. This was a transitional period in American coinage, just 5 years after the elimination of silver from circulating dimes, quarters, and half dollars, and the mint was still adjusting to new production methods and metal compositions. This period of adjustment created opportunities for errors that wouldn't have occurred during more stable times. And the result is a treasure trove of valuable varieties from the late 1960s and early 1970s that continue to excite collectors today. When we talk about a $54 million dime, we're not just talking about metal and money, we're talking about history, about the tangible evidence of human imperfection in an age of increasing automation, about the reminder that even governments and their sophisticated mints can make mistakes, and those mistakes become treasures. The market for high-end error coins has exploded in recent decades as wealthy collectors and investment funds recognize that rare coins offer portfolio diversification, aesthetic beauty, historical significance, and potential for appreciation that few other assets can match. A $54 million price tag might seem absurd for a dime, but when you consider that unique art sells for hundreds of millions, that classic cars fetch tens of millions, that rare stamps and comic books command similar prices, suddenly a one-of-a-kind coin with perfect provenance and incredible rarity doesn't seem so unreasonable. And the beauty of coin collecting is that you don't need $54 million to participate. You can start with pocket change, examining every dime that passes through your hands, learning to spot the telltale signs of errors and varieties, building knowledge that could one day lead to a major discovery. The tools you need are minimal: a decent magnifying glass, a copy of the Red Book or access to online numismatic resources, and patience, because finding these treasures requires looking at thousands of coins, maybe tens of thousands, before you stumble across something special. But when you find it, when you hold that error coin in your hand and realize what you've discovered, the rush is indescribable, and the potential financial reward is life-changing. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just watch this video and forget about it. Take action. Start examining your change. Ask your bank for rolls of dimes to search through. Check any old coin collections you might have inherited. Spread the word to family and friends that you're looking for error coins, because you never know who might have a jar of old change sitting in their garage. The 1970 Roosevelt Dime, worth $54 million, started its journey as an ordinary piece of pocket change, and the next one could be discovered by you if you're willing to look. This is why I love sharing these stories, not just because they're fascinating from a historical and numismatic perspective, but because they represent real opportunities for real people to change their financial circumstances through knowledge and attention to detail. In a world where getting rich seems to require winning the lottery or having insider connections, rare coin hunting offers a genuine meritocracy where anyone with sharp eyes and dedication can strike gold, or in this case, strike silver-clad copper-nickel worth millions. The Roosevelt Dime series, from 1946 to today, contains hundreds of varieties and errors, some common and some incredibly rare, and the 1970 examples we've discussed represent the absolute pinnacle of value and desirability in this series. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who's never thought twice about coins before today, I hope these stories have opened your eyes to the incredible potential hiding in plain sight, circulating in commerce, waiting patiently to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. So grab those dimes, start examining them closely, and who knows? Maybe you'll be the next person featured in numismatic news for discovering a $54 million treasure that everyone else overlooked. Remember, fortune favors the observant, and in the world of rare coins, the difference between wealth and ordinary pocket change is simply knowledge and the willingness to pay attention. Thank you for watching Old Glory Coins, and may your next dime be the one that changes everything.